Hey guys, welcome back to a new episode of She's in a Pod. It's your girl Shadi or Shadi, whichever floats your boat.
I am Bianca, BB, B, whichever, whatever.
Beyonce's number one fan. I'm surprised that Bianca, you haven't mentioned Beyonce in a while.
Do you know
I'm really quite surprised.
I have conversations about Beyonce every day. Just know that, okay?
So you're talk
about her. Like
so you're taking a break
now. And my boyfriend are constantly arguing because he thinks she's overrated rather. So yeah, exactly. The fact that I'm even with him says a lot. It says a lot. I feel like I've betrayed Beyonce.
Like, oh my gosh.
Shadi, I don't appreciate your sarcasm right now.
No. But you know what's funny? I'm actually not being sarcastic because it genuinely hurt. Like, Beyonce is amazing, but it still hurts when people say she's overrated because she is not, like, she is far from overrated.
No, that's far from overrated.
But
it's all good. It's all good. People, I feel like I wear Beyonce on my chest. People don't even need to know. Like, I just represent her with the cycle. It's all good. But anyway, Jennifer, let's let Jennifer introduce herself.
Hi guys. Hi. It's your girl Jen.
Tell us who you are now.
I'm saying it now.
No, you know what?
Jennifer.
Yesterday
Jenny.
I saw a different side to Jennifer. She was doing accents I didn't know she could do. I was just like, rah, Jen,
you guys have to catch me up on that later on.
We need to.
Well, that's only reserved for certain people. So you got to see a glimpse of that.
Oh Lord. Eesh. But anyways, guys, welcome to another episode of She's in a Pod, the safe space for millennial women. We are here. First of all, we really hope you guys are appreciating these weekly episodes because we are working hard out here. Okay,
yes.
It's not easy recording virtually. Hard. It's not easy recording with this Ghana Wi-Fi. It's not. It's not easy. Okay, it's not easy. Okay,
at all.
Do you know what? I think I thought that because we're recording virtually and we're not necessarily travelling anywhere, I thought, it's fine, it's easy, but nah, it requires a lot of planning, a lot of hard work. But do you know what? Yeah. People are loving it, and I was going to mention that. I'm literally seeing the difference of, the consistency. I'm seeing the difference it's making. Like, people are loving it. Yeah. People are watching the episodes while working. People are looking forward to them every week. So we're just like, let's just keep on giving. Let's keep connecting with our sisters.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone.
I was going to say,
we see all the comments, we see all the shares, the likes, and it just warms our hearts. And it keeps us going to do this every single week for you guys.
It really does. So before we get into it, quick catch up. How's you guys' weeks been since the last time we had an episode, which was like over a week ago now? So Jennifer, how's your week been?
Oh, my
enlighten us about your week because you had quite an eventful week, actually.
Well, as you know, I took the vaccine, and I don't want to go too deep into it just because I don't want to scare people, but the vaccine sometimes does have effects. Very safe, you just get like a fever and whatnot, but I didn't really take too well to that, so my weekend was very hard, but it only lasted about 2-3 days, and I'm fine now. I'm alive, guys. Okay,
thank God. Amen.
Yes. So there was that, and work's been busy behind the scenes. Guys, stay at home. Please stay at home. I know I said it before, but I'm being dead serious. Stay at home.
Coming from an NHS workers, people on the front line. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't listen to her, please.
Honestly, you guys are working hard, man. It's when I see, people like you, people like my boyfriend, even though he doesn't necessarily work front. Well, he is kind of frontline, but not really in the area you are in. But still, just knowing the amount of pressure that the NHS are under, it really
so much
reminds
pressure.
me to stay at home. Like, yes, we're all itching to go out, we're all itching for the bit of freedom, but let's actually just stay home so that this can be over and done with, because I'm tired of it. Yes, please. I'm so tired of it.
Tired. We're all tired.
We're super tired.
What about you, Shadi? How's your week been, girl? The past
How's my week
8-9 days.
It's been okay. Do you know what? I was just thinking that I feel like my 20s are wasting away. I don't want to say that because it sounds so negative, but like,
I
just feel like life is so
I saw this tweet. I saw a tweet and it said, I don't know if you guys saw it, and it said, oh, I heard someone say that when the pandemic started they were 19 and now they're 21.
Oh, like,
and I was like,
I saw that, and do you know that's quite scary? Because hold on, how old was I when I was 25 when the pandemic started? And by the time we finish it, I'm probably going to be 27.
Girl, you're 27 this year.
Nice. See what I mean? Do you see what I mean? Our 20s are literally flying by. So I've just been a bit reflective this week, and just trying to be more intentional about just having fun. I know we can't go out. I know we can't do any of that stuff, but you know, I'm just trying to be more intentional about using the space we have and the resources we have to just have fun. I had a really good life coaching session today as well with my life coach. So I'm feeling a bit more energized. I'm feeling a bit, you know, a bit more motivated to kind of do stuff and just make the most of the situation.
It's hard, like, it's hard to stay motivated. I think this one, like, I don't know why people are struggling to see why this one is different, because number one, it's like the third one. Number two, it's very, very different to even the 4-week lockdown, and even the one, especially the one in March, because we were going into spring. Like, I don't think people realise how much the weather and the seasons actually have an effect on your mental health and your mood.
Oh, they do.
Like, we are literally bang smack in the middle of winter, like, we're in the UK right now. So, of course, you wake up, you know, when we were in lockdown before, you'd open the curtains, the sun would be shining a bit, you could go for a walk, you know what I mean? You could still be in your little group sometimes, someone would come to your house, or you go to the park. You can't do any of that. It's cold, it's dingy, it's not nice. So, of course, that's going to have an effect on people's mental health. They're just stuck in the house with the central heating. That's literally it. So, it's this one, I'm just like, I'm really scared for people and their mental health, honestly, especially people who are trying to juggle, not just surviving, but people who are juggling different things like families or studying or work, all these different things that everyone's trying to juggle.
I'm feeling so sorry for right now, like the mums that are kind of balancing homeschooling and working and having the mixed emotions of my children are going to school one day and then the next day they're not, and I have to kind of figure out what I'm going to do with them, but I still have to work. But I do feel like a lot more workplaces are becoming a lot more receptive to that, and they are becoming more understanding and flexible, because you've got to be, the world is literally changing before our eyes. We cannot have the same fixed mentality of you must do these hours and this is what you must do and this is how much you've got to deliver, because we're all trying to figure it out. But yeah, Bianca, how's your week been? Tell us, how's Ghana? How is the life there?
I told you guys I had a COVID scare. Well, I didn't, so it wasn't symptoms, but I was exposed to someone who was living with someone who was tested positive. So I only got my results literally today. Thank God I was negative, and my sister and my brother-in-law were all negative. Amen. Like that. So that was cool. Obviously, I know we thank God, because it's just so much, like, even my boyfriend, his dad is vulnerable. So it's like things like that. It's all a ripple effect, because they might meet someone who's exposed to someone who's vulnerable. It's just really, it's a lot to think about and to process. So like, I was really, really scared, not just for me, because I felt fine, but for people I've been around who are living with people who are in a high risk. So the past like 2-3 days have been a bit. Yeah, but obviously I did like celebrate my birthday at the weekend, so that was fun.
Yes, you did. You look beautiful.
Yeah, no, it was cool. It was nice.
Yeah, you looked lovely. How was that?
Thank you. It was nice. I just went to a place called Sandbox, which is just like literally by the beach. It's just like a beach restaurant place. Really, really, really nice. Just went there, chilled with some friends. My sister came, and it was nice. It was a really intimate thing. We just chilled and ate food. And then I spent 2 days away with my boyfriend, and yeah, we just relaxed and just enjoyed. It was nice to kind of like be away and not having my niece knock on the door, Auntie B, it's a buyer. So it was really, really nice. And then yeah, obviously I came up, my sister was like, oh, we need to get tested. So as soon as I got back, I went and got tested straight away. And then but it's been cool. Ghana's like, the numbers are rising. Like the numbers are rising.
They're rising everywhere. Have you heard about Dubai?
And they are rising.
Exactly. There's so many people coming there.
This is it.
And like, it's so funny. I was saying to my boyfriend that like, I had 3 messages in the past like 4 days of people that are still coming to Ghana, like in this week and next week. Still. My was like, tell them to stay there with their UK COVID. We don't want them over here.
Seriously.
Still coming. Like, people are still coming.
I feel like there's an influx of people coming. So like Dubai, for example, we heard today that Dubai is now on lockdown, I think, or they've like suspended all entertainment because of the amount of cases. And it's just like, surprise, you're letting all these UK people in. And they bring, literally, COVID is becoming infested in that country. It's just crazy. I'm not saying it's UK people's fault, but like, the government here, you've had a big part to play.
The government aren't being honest about numbers.
Yeah.
They are.
No, they're not.
Really under-exaggerating the numbers here, because obviously they want to seem like they don't have things under control. And with people here, the way people act here is like, even if they have symptoms, they're not going to get tested. Like they're just like okay, cool.
They'll let it kind of just
thing. So
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, but other than I've just been in the house. I'm not trying to go out as much as I was before, so I'll do little things here and there, but just trying to be more safe. So I've literally been at home since I got back on Tuesday from being away. I've just been home literally all week, just been with the family, just awaiting our test results. So it's been like it's every day is different. You just don't know what happens. Every day you wake up and something new.
That's literally how I feel about life right now. You wake up and there's something else going on. It's just unpredictable. But
so guys, stay home, stay safe, wear a mask, social distance.
Yeah.
You guys know already
I know
what it is.
Come on,
before when Boris used to say that, I'll be rolling my eyes like, okay, we've heard Mr. Man, but now please, guys, stay home, save lives, wear your mask, wear your gloves, please. I can beg you if I have to, please. Don't make me kneel down, please, guys. I just want my life back. Everyone wants their life back, so let's just do what we've got to do. The other day, I saw on the news, that there was a party in Basingstoke, and these people are so dumb. The police went there to separate it, and the guy said, "Oh, I didn't know there was any COVID or
I was just about to say it to tell you
because I don't watch the news." Is everything okay?
He doesn't know what's going on.
Wow.
First of all, that's the biggest lie I've ever seen.
People are so ignorant.
You don't see signs on the bus saying wear a mask or on billboards saying social distance. Come on.
And you don't see people wearing masks. Like, obviously they were lying though.
Just for that, I would have sent that person to jail. Just for that. Being so ignorant.
But
Jenna's come back with her go to jail chronicles.
So guys, on my pod, let's do my pod.
Oh my god. Right.
So guys, let's get into the episode. First things first. Oh my pod. So who's got oh my pod today?
Oh my pod.
So I have an oh my pod. So I was contemplating whether we should discuss this or not, but you know what? I think it's worth discussing because it's something that blew social media alight yesterday. So yesterday, Ashley Louise, I think that's her name, hosted a room on Clubhouse about rating different MUAs. So loads of girls came onto the stage and were talking about their MUA stories from hell. Now, this kind of, it blew up because there were two main MUAs that kept coming up that people were talking about. So they were kind of describing the really bad experiences of them. And, you know, people started saying that this is bullying, this is this is that, because of the amount of people that were listening as well. So, yeah, the whole of social media...
Do you know what? The
became
room was
crazy.
Full.
It was full.
Under 4 minutes, this room was full.
Yeah.
Deep that.
Yeah.
That's how you know we all like to gossip.
And I'm not gonna lie, I was enjoying the drama because it was entertaining. It was entertainment for me. You know, it really was. But yeah, it kind of backfired on Ashley, and people are kind of saying this is bullying. Why is she facilitating these kind of discussions? The other side is saying it's got nothing to do with Ashley. If you're given a bad experience, you're given a bad experience. And whether you're a black business, young business, 2-year-old business, 1-month-old business, if you're providing a service, you need to do that with good quality. So what do you guys think about that?
Do you know, I was split. Because remember I messaged you and I said something along the lines like, I don't know, I think this is too much. Because I think it started off with people not wanting to say names. And then afterwards, the people on the stage, the moderators and Ashley, they were saying actually say names because we want the audience to avoid these people. And that's when, like, in my heart, I was just like, I know that their service was crap, but there's about 5,000 people plus 2 other rooms that were created to listen to this.
There were 4
other rooms. Yeah,
there were legit 4 other rooms.
Right, so it's a bit too much. I felt anyway towards the end, so I didn't stay that long, but it was juicy. But I think towards the end, I kind of felt bad. It's not really my thing.
Yeah. What about you, Bianca? I don't know if you were in the rooms, but I'm sure you must have heard about everything else.
I mean, most of the time when things happen on Clubhouse, I see on Twitter. I don't spend really much time on Clubhouse. I really don't anymore. I just think it's become a really toxic place. So I'm not drawn to it, but I was on there for literally, I think I managed to get into one of the other rooms. I was in there for like 2. Yeah, I was in there for
Was it clear?
minutes. What's that?
Was it clear in the other rooms?
Yeah, you could hear.
Oh.
I think I was in there for a couple of minutes at max, a couple of minutes. I think just straight up, it's not okay. Personally, I think the room should have been hosted. The reason why I say that is because I don't know what it is, and for someone who like Ashley Louise, she now calls herself a famous moderator.
Yeah.
For someone who has now experience in moderating room, has experience in knowing enough about Clubhouse, you know that Clubhouse is not a safe space, and that anyone that comes, any topic you bring into Clubhouse that even has the small risk of it turning into something that it shouldn't, don't do it, because we thousands of people, we don't know each other. I don't owe you anything, and I just think it's always going to turn into something that you never intended it to. So you have to think, and so a lot of times your intentions are great, but with a place like Clubhouse, you have to think forward. You have to.
But the thing is, I think those were her intentions. I don't think.
Well, do you know what? Maybe they were intentions to have like for it to blow up into some big controversial thing. Maybe that was her intention. If that was, then I don't respect that at all. The other thing is, with coming up and sharing your experiences, the issue I have with that is, and ZZ Mills. Do you remember when we had an episode about Black businesses?
Yeah.
And I said, one thing I said, and I stick by this, and ZZ Mills tweeted this exact thing like yesterday related to the Clubhouse. She said, yeah, we're so quick to down Black businesses and say we'll never shop with them again. But we'll go to Zara, we'll go to all these big corporations, get a bad experience, and we'll still go back there and shop. We can get treated badly. Every pretty little thing delivery can come late, 2 days late. We're still going to keep shopping there. So I think there's a thing that we have with Black businesses, especially, that we just don't, we have the lack of grace, the lack of mercy, especially for those who are just starting out. And also for people, there could have been people that have come up here and said they had a bad experience with an MUA, and maybe that wasn't actually a representation of that person. Maybe it was just a bad day. I know there were some MUAs where it was a pattern, but for that may not have been the case for all. So now you're coming on there, and literally, if you think about each room had about 2,000 people, you had about 10,000 people each room.
Oh, it was way more than that. It was way more than that.
When I looked at the tweets, it was over 100k tweets that were concerning this room. You're having all these people could hear one bad story about a person, and then that's it. They've written them off forever. So I don't agree with it at all. I don't agree with coming on and bashing businesses. Whether it's a white business, Black business. I think your intent in Clubhouse, however pure your intent is, it's always going to end up it's going to go right when you intend it to go there. So I just think that that's a no-no for me, 100% no-no. Yeah, there are people out there that don't give back. When I saw some of the like what I asked for versus what I got, it was shocking. It was definitely shocking. I can't lie. However, I just don't think that was the place to do it. 100% no, it wasn't the place to do it. So that's my opinion.
No, I totally hear
that. There's a thing. I think Brits have contaminated, these Londoners contaminated Clubhouse. Like, I was to choose a demographic or a group of people that have contributed towards Clubhouse being toxic, it's been these Londoners. It literally has been. Like, every time I go to Twitter, you guys are causing trouble. Not you guys, but us guys.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? I think it became like that as soon as they increased the invites, and it's the app being greedy. The founders of the app, initially, I'm sure their plan was for this to be an exclusive app where, you know, only a certain type of person gets it, and, you know, you have meaningful conversations, you network, you meet amazing people. But I think they got a bit greedy and they thought, actually, we need more numbers. Because now I have like 5 invites sitting there. Before I had the 1 invite, and it was like you were hustling for invites. But now everyone is kind of, you can get that.
But the thing is, they're intending to even go public with it in March.
Yeah, you see.
So,
really? So
when it goes public,
it's just
the whole
intention of it. It literally, the whole intention of it has definitely changed. So go back to the whole Ashley thing. So I'm not gonna lie, when I was in the room that she did before, and, you know, it was about hairstylists, and what she was saying is that she's trying to create, of course we know that this is not necessarily her intention, but she's trying to create a space where, you know, we can avoid certain businesses or hold businesses accountable if they have not delivered good services repeatedly for people. But of course, with naming names, and she was like, there's no point in not naming names, because what's the point of telling your story? So I think it was part entertainment, part holding business accountable, but really it's not. We all kind of knew what was going to happen, but we just didn't expect it to be this bad. So that one I kind of joined in maybe towards the end. So I heard about this one on Wednesday, and I thought, let me just listen, like, this is juicy. And let's not lie, sometimes we like to hear a bit of drama, we like a bit of action, you know, we watch Love and Hip Hop, all these, like, it's sometimes just fun to see, you know, and hear. So I was just like, let me join. But then after, like when I was seeing everyone kind of attack Ashley or like just kind of share their 2 pence on the situation, I did start to feel a bit bad. I was like, oh, actually, we need to think about the impact this is now going to have on these young girls, and especially one of the girls that were.
My problem with that is the same people that you're getting to come up and talk and share their juicy stories and share the tea, the same people that are making you trend and making you more popular as a famous moderator are the same people that will trash you. So that's why you have to be careful with this. Like, you're using these very same people to get your name out there and to get yourself known as a famous moderator. But these are the same people, they have that in them to turn on you and say, no, it's trash. So I just think it's yeah.
But do you also think, and just to end off with this, do you think that people are becoming a bit more sensitive? And a bit more, like a bit more, like let's say something that may have been said, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, would not have had the same reaction as what was said yesterday, for example. I think people are becoming a bit more sensitive.
There's layers to that, because I think there's fake sensitivity, and I say there's fake sensitivity because I think that this may not be in context to this situation, but you see, because there are like communities now. So there's the Black community, and there's the LGBT community, and there's the female community, and you say anything to any of these communities or in relation to any of these communities, and the community, there's a massive uproar. Or, you know, you have to be more sensitive and careful about what you say these days. And I think people see that and take advantage of that. So now if you say one thing that could be offensive, sometimes I'm watching like comedy shows from like 10-20 years ago, and I'm thinking they could never get away with saying this stuff now. Like,
Same as that's what Kevin Hart was saying as well. With his jokes. You know, his jokes would have banged like a couple of years ago, but now he can't even do that.
But we all laughed at them then. So I think I appreciate where we are as a people, that we're being more aware about what comes out of our mouths and what we say to each other. But I also think that we are too sensitive sometimes. I think sometimes things are, you know, I miss just that banter, like the banter I could have with someone, and it could be banter that has a smidget of truth on it, but you know what, I can still laugh about it, and vice versa. I definitely miss. It's annoying when every time I go online on social media, someone says something. One pet peeve I really have is when you see someone said something and you could actually see right through their intent, and people take it the wrong way, and you're like, how can you miss this? Like they were so pure in what they were trying to say, and you literally twisted it so that it can offend you, so that you can make a big deal out of it. So I think that's why I call
so you can get some retweets.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's in relation to this whole Ashley thing, but I definitely think, we've become, as a world, a lot more sensitive.
I do agree.
Maybe before we were too insensitive, so I think it's all about balance. I don't know.
I think we've become too sensitive. I think that there are some things that people have the right to say. I have the right to say if I'm not happy with the service. I have a right to say if I don't agree with, you know, someone's way of life. I have a right to say if I'm not happy with, like, for example, when I go to restaurants, I'm a talker. If I'm not happy with your service, I'll tell you. Usually when I'm with people, that makes them uncomfortable. But I'm just like, no, I paid for this. I want the same level of service that someone else that paid for this.
How do you say it as well, though? Like, you're not rude about it.
It's not rude.
Right?
It's not rude unless it warrants rudeness. Of course, it's about how you say things. It's about how tactful you are, and I get that.
Delivery,
It's the delivery, of course. Sometimes some situations do warrant rudeness, because if I've been waiting and I've been repeating myself, then unfortunately rudeness is the only way to deliver my message. But of course, that's not the first resort. But you know, I'm all for speaking up and being yourself, but of course, know the limits.
Yes. I feel like too many people on Clubhouse right now.
What's that, Jen?
I was saying that too many people on Clubhouse right now, like constantly 24/7.
I was actually considering about even the three of us making a house. Now you can apply to make a house and whatever, but I was just like, I don't spend that much time on Clubhouse. I'm not even gonna.
It's so funny because it was you that introduced it to me, Bianca.
Exactly, but I liked the way it was. Just what I'm saying, I liked it because it was that.
But do you know what? What I realized is that because now I only go like in the night time, my Clubhouse rooms have filtered down to the ones that I actually enjoy, like the health ones and whatnot. So it's the more you keep going into rooms, it actually selects the ones like Facebook or Instagram.
And I think there's something now where you can choose your preferences, like the topics and stuff. There's a thing, and I don't know if you've seen
I
it in
think
your
I've
settings,
seen it.
notifications.
I
Where
think
you
I've
can
seen it.
choose like categories, so those will show up on your. They call it the hallway. It will show up in your hallway.
Yeah. I think
yeah,
I've
it's
seen
interesting. But like speaking of
Yes.
employees, I mean they're like
Ooh.
in the creative field. We are talking about all
Yes.
things creative today, which is like I don't know why we haven't spoken about this before because it's such a.
I know
especially in our
we've
generation.
alluded to it on the employee versus entrepreneur episode that we did. If you
Yeah,
haven't listened to
okay,
that, by the
okay.
way, guys, please go
Okay.
listen to that. That was a really good one where we kind of fleshed out the comparisons between being an entrepreneur versus doing a 9 to 5. Can you do both? Can't you do both? What are the difficulties and all of that? So yeah, go listen to that if you haven't already. But yeah, over to you, Bianca. What were you saying?
Yeah, so in this episode, we've spoken about it, and I think there was a mention in it, not the last episode, the episode before that, where we were talking about, I think, Sade, you mentioned about like, how, as creatives, how your family feels or how your parents feel about this thing. And I was like, well, you know what, we haven't really touched on it because I think pretty much almost everyone I know is somehow in some aspect the creative, like when it comes to my friends. There's not one friend that I can think of that isn't a creative in some aspect, even if it's small, it's big, it's on a larger scale. They're creative somehow. So I was like, you know what, we have to talk about this. Like, so what? Because I feel like I don't think it's subjective, but I do feel like it's based on how you view yourself as a creative and also how you view others. Like, what is your definition, Jen? What would you say your definition of a creative is?
I think it's stepping out of the norm. And when I say the norm, is like, you know, having just a normal 9 to 5, having a corporate job, having an academic type of job. Being a creative is dipping into things that aren't so formal, that aren't so, I guess, pleasing to society.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll say creative is.
What do you mean not pleasing to society though?
So, for example, like going back to the whole parents thing, and, you know, if you had someone who was, for example, wanting to become a singer compared to somebody who was wanting to become an accountant, becoming an accountant would be seen as more respectable.
More accepted,
Those times have changed, and now, you know, we're seeing things in a different light. That is often still the case, especially with parents, if you come from a cultural background. So yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay. Shade, what's your definition of
a creative? I feel like there's two
in today's society, anyway.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there's two types of creatives. I feel like there's the creative that's a full-time creative, that's their job. Photographers, videographers, cinema makers. That's a term now that I learned today on Clubhouse. Graphic designers, and then you've got your creatives that are kind of doing it on the side. So like I would describe myself and Jen as well as maybe side creatives. So like creatives that are kind of doing it as a side hustle, side project type thing. But to me, a creative is someone who creates content. You're creating content for someone's consumption. That's what a creative is to me. What about you, Bianca? Because I've always wanted to ask you, you're creative. So
like full on,
exactly. So what to you, what is a creative, and what do you actually do, and what's it like being, I mean there's loads of questions in that, but yes, what's a creative, so and what you
I think for me a creative is someone who creates, like they create things, and they create it's not from the outside, it's from the inside. So it's a part of you. You're creating something that is it's come from you. Creating is an idea. It's come from whether it's an idea, it's some sort of seed that you've literally conceptualized from a seed into a flower, into a plant. So whether it's I even say, even if you're creating and it's not for others' consumption, you are still a creative because you are creating. So for some people, creating as a creative, it's just a hobby. It's just, some people don't even know. Like sometimes I'll have conversations with people that I've known or I've been associated with for years. They'll tell me, oh, I do this. And I'm like, I didn't know you do that. Like it's just something that they've just done their whole lives. It's not for anyone's consumption or to monetize. It's just because it's just a part of who they are and they like doing it. It's something that they enjoy. There's some people that they enjoy doing it and making money from it. That's absolutely great. That's even better, you know. If you want to make money from it and you can make money from it, of course, and it's something you're passionate about, of course. Being a creative, I don't know, it's weird because I wouldn't, in the role of work that I do,
What do you do for those that don't know? So for those that don't know,
So for those that don't know, I work in branding and social media strategy. So I would say in the work that I do, not everything I do is I would consider myself a creative, like in every part of my job. So when it comes to the branding, especially because I think with the branding, and I'm talking about the strategy here, because I'm helping people to cultivate a strategy. So it's not so creative in a way. Like, there are creative aspects to it, but just like, I don't know if people if you do follow me, my personal page, you'll see that last year when I was doing a lot of the branding stuff online, a lot of it, or you were even a part of it, a lot of it was like conversational based. It was having the conversations and having a conversation with yourself about building strategy, about building plans. So it's almost like making a business plan. Like that's in a way a strategy is, and obviously that project launches. And then when it comes to project launches and social media, that's where more of the creative side comes in for me. So like what I do with She's in the Pod with like making the graphics and coming up with ideas of like, different things like that. So sometimes it consists of me sitting down and being more, I wouldn't say academic, but being more like, okay, this is work, this is typing, this is researching and etc. And it's not so much fun. And then the other side is, I actually get to create and I get to literally vomit out all the ideas I have into something that's visual for people to see. So that's what I do. So I would say if you create in any way, if you knit, if you do nails, you know what I'm saying? If you if you're a DJ, whatever you do, you're creative. Like, and again, it doesn't have to be. I think the message that is being put out there, especially these days, is that if you're not making money from what you're your creations, then you're not creative. You don't have to make money from it. Like, that's not it. Sometimes it's just to enjoy. And I actually miss the days where we just had hobbies. Not everything had to be monetized. I miss the days where you had the innocence of just doing something because you enjoyed it and not because you wanted to get 1,000 likes.
Yeah. You've gotten me into a different mindset now.
But the thing is, I do understand.
What's that, Jen?
I was going to say, I do understand why a lot of people now want to start monetizing their creativity just because of the type of climate we're in terms of, just having a 9-to-5 salary isn't enough to, cultivate the dreams that you've wanted, like buying a house, or not that you can't buy a house with that type of salary, but some people, it's a lot harder, especially.
But you don't have to, but your second source of income doesn't have to be anything creative. You can invest.
Yeah, but I think
it could be trading, invested. It could be babysitting.
It doesn't have to be literally. It doesn't have to be anything creative, because my thing is that I feel like a lot of people enjoy being creative, and I see it on Instagram. A lot of people enjoy being creative, taking pictures and all of that, but as they begin to maybe get a bit more followers, it doesn't become as genuine anymore, and you see
authentic,
because it's not authentic anymore, because you see that all their pictures are starting to look the same. It doesn't have their personality isn't shining through anymore, the whole vibe just changes. And my thing is that I know you can make good money off this Instagram influencing, creating fashion stuff, but when it's no longer authentic, it becomes very samey. It becomes like you're just another fashion girl on Instagram. So my thing is, I just don't think it should be forced. You don't have to monetize. Yes, it's nice to, and if that happens to you naturally, then fantastic. But I just don't think people should put pressure on themselves to force themselves to make money off anything creative.
Get into that, because that's something that I want to touch on in regards to, like, when you create that process and that, like, the whole process and the spectrum of it being, when it's still inside you, it's in its purest form. Do you know what I mean? That idea or whatever, it's literally this purest form. And as the more you create and you cultivate and you let it out and see, it's in the world now, it's not as pure. And then when you are doing it for money, you've got to do it on time. You've got to do it in this day. You have to make sure it's this quality. And there's a lot of things that go into it. You don't have the freedom to just do it authentically. So much thought has to be put into it. And we'll talk about that later down the line, because I think that's a really, really important thing of just keeping that authenticity when you're a creative. But like, would you guys? I mean, you said it already, but you guys would consider yourself a creative, right?
Only recently.
Same.
For the longest time, I did struggle with that, just because I thought that being a creative meant doing that full time. Like I always saw people who were doing this full time as like the real creatives. Obviously now I know that's not the case, but because I still wanted to hang on to my, academic side, which I also love, and I felt like I couldn't do both at the same time. That's why I didn't consider myself a creative. Or sometimes I'll say I'm half creative and I'm half academic. Like I wouldn't commit myself
Hybrid.
to just being that. Right?
Yeah.
Like a hybrid. So, but now I'm, understanding that, because of what I do with She's in the Pod, with Sasa, like, of course I am. And when I look back at, when I was younger, I've always been that creative. I've always been the one wanting to create stuff, but I just never thought that was what it was called. But yeah, right now I would say I am.
Yeah, 100%. And what about you, Sade?
I'm similar to Jen, when people used to say, oh, you're creative, like, I remember there was one guy that was just like, oh, you should do this because you're very creative. I was like, I'm not creative at all. Like, and I still don't feel like I'm creative, like I feel quite, sometimes to think of like designs or anything fancy is quite draining for me because I just don't think I'm naturally a creative person. Obviously doing She's in a Pod and stuff, I was doing Inspire London, now in hindsight I look back and I do realise that actually that is quite creative to create an Instagram page, to create content for people to read and consume and associate with and integrate with, whatever, interact with rather. Then
creatives. And that's the thing, again, this is another thing about like social media, and this is what we've kind of like been accustomed to. Being creative and creating something doesn't always have to be visual. It could be what people feel, what they hear, what they see, what they encounter. It's all about just what I'm encountering from you. Something you've created that I've encountered. It doesn't have to be a visual thing. It could literally be a thing that I feel emotionally, mentally, even physically. So I always think, don't stay in the box of it has to be a visual, it has to be a picture or a graphic or a video. It doesn't have to be that.
Yeah,
literally, whatever you have, exactly, whatever idea you have that you've created is come from here and it's come into the world. You are creative. You are constantly creating things, whether it's like even if it's like, I know, like, say for example you're doing a 9-to-5 job, but say you go to your boss and you say, listen, I have this idea to work on this project. You've literally had this idea and you've worked on this project with your team. You're creating. You are a creative. And sometimes we fixed creating in the space of it. Being a creative can't exist in the corporate world, and it really can. Like, there are creatives that exist every single day, and that's a lot of the corporate world thrives off of creatives because these are where ideas come from. Well, I would say
basically,
I would say there's an element of creativeness and creativity in everyone. 100%. 100%. Yeah, I believe that with my whole heart.
So I guess the conversation.
Yeah, no, go on. I'm Sade.
No. I was just gonna say. So I guess the conversation then leans more towards being a full-time creative, because if
and the level of creativity, and the level it's the level to it. It's the level. So as you guys have become more comfortable and confident, like calling yourselves creatives, who would you say online, offline has inspired you to, like, you look at them and you're like, okay, do you know what? I like their work. I like the way they execute it. Not necessarily what they do, but I just like the execution. I like the work. I like the quality of their work, etc. Is there anyone that stands out to you, like, that you would say?
There is a YouTuber. Oh, go on, Jen.
No, go on.
There's a YouTuber, Lydia Dingo. Right, yeah. Her YouTube videos are insane. And you know what? I don't even watch them that much, but from what I've seen, she puts effort into them and they are so creative. It's literally like you're watching a movie. And that's what you call perfecting your craft. Like, she has perfected her craft. So yeah, I really like her. I wouldn't say I'm inspired by her just because I'm not trying to get into that space. Yeah. But I see her work and I'm just like,
admire it.
And someone else actually, Esther Ray. I'm just thinking now that I've said that. So Esther Ray, if you don't know her, she's a fashion lifestyle kind of person. Her reels are really cool. I really like her reels. I think her transitions are super cool, and I enjoy watching her.
What about you, Jem?
That's what I would say.
So for me, I would say Patricia Bright. And I say this because I've been following her for a long time, been watching her videos from when she was, younger and everything. But what I really love is that she's always incorporated her love for finance. Obviously, I don't have a love for finance unless it's to do with money. But I love how she's a finance guru and she's also into makeup and she's into fashion. And for me, like I said, I struggled with how could I combine both, or how could I still be both in terms of being a healthcare professional and then being a creative. So I love how she's, she started the Break Social and she's still doing her YouTube stuff, and she's somehow managed to merge them both together, because although I love doing, Cheese in the Pod, I love doing my other stuff, I'm still the same girl who, researches random facts about, how long is your intestine? 15 feet. Like I'm still into like the healthcare side of things. I'll say her, and then
like me,
yeah, and then now there's been like a rise of healthcare professionals on TikTok, and especially being in the pandemic and with the whole vaccines, healthcare professionals finding a different way to communicate with people. So,
which I think is so cool, by the way.
There's this lady that I follow called Dr. Julie.
Dr. Julie, yes.
She's really good. I follow her on Instagram. I love her
really?
Instagram. You should follow her.
I don't actually follow any healthcare professionals, but I just think it's so cool that we have access to actually ask people who have studied night and day. We have access to ask them questions. The internet has brought us all together. So as much as there's the drama and there's all of that, there's actually really great sides.
No, there are some pros.
I
think
That's the $1 million
one of my biggest creative inspiration, I would say, is Issa Rae. I think she's amazing. Issa Rae is amazing, and because I followed her from when she did her like awkward black girl series, like before she started Insecure, and she used to do it was just literally on just YouTube.
I love that.
And I'm gonna pay for it because she did a masterclass series, and I want to watch it, not because I'm into acting or anything like that, but I saw a clip and she said the only difference between her awkward black girl series and Insecure was money. Like, she said that was the only difference. The storylines, the way she executed it, the comedy, everything was the same. And so, like, she just... I like how... I feel like Insecure really changed the game for television, for series, for, like, the modern millennial young person. And so I just love the way she is so... I think also what I love about her is... I love any creative that is multifaceted and that isn't scared to say, okay, this is one side and this is one side. Today you're gonna see both. This day you might see that side. I just love it because it's like you're not gonna keep me in a box. You're not gonna keep me in a box. This is who I am, and I'm showing you all sides of myself. And that's definitely what I love about Issa Rae. Of course, I'm gonna say Beyonce because she's just amazing.
Yeah, here we go.
I don't even have to say why. Okay, Beyonce's just amazing. Okay, I don't have to explain. Beyonce's just.
But
work
do you know what?
ethic,
She
ideas.
too. She's multifaceted. I mean, she's got her business. She's a musician.
Exactly. So she is. I don't know who else would I say. Is there anyone online that I would say I really love?
I have one more actually.
Yeah.
I would say you, Bianca.
Really?
Honestly, yeah. Oh, please. And do you know why I say that? I was thinking about it. But your work is very excellent. Like your create. So every time like you play something in the chat, you're like, oh guys, I just worked on this, just some drafts. I'm just like, I just don't get how you think of this stuff. Because when you guys have seen my attempts of,
Have you seen mine? I've tried to hide some from Bianca.
But you know what?
I don't want to trouble.
Do you know what it is? Yeah. Sometimes I was gonna say you guys like put things that you've worked on in the group chat, and you're like, oh, I've done this, and actually, it's actually quite good, and I can go off of that. But sometimes it's actually quite hard to start from scratch, if that makes sense. So, for example, like I don't know if you saw in our DMs the other day, someone DM'd us and was saying, I don't think you saw it because I responded, but someone basically asked us what platform we use to do our whole like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I just saw that DM now actually. Just was wondering.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, we did it ourselves, like, you know what I mean? And I explained to her, etc. But even with that, you created that, Sade, and I was able to go on certain things. So I think, to be honest, like my creative, so I've come from a very creative family. So my mom was quite creative. She was very academic because she was a teacher, but at the same time, she created things from scratch. Even she created courses, she created all sorts of things. And my dad is a musician as well. My brother's very creative. So I think my sister, Shana, she's creative in her cooking. She did fashion as well. So I think I've just come from that family where like my parents really encouraged us because of the family that, you know, the way they were growing up, to just tap into like creativity. So sometimes I feel like I'm not. I just feel like I'm not, like I've hit a brick wall. I honestly feel like sometimes I'm not creating on the level that in my mind I want to create at. It's weird. It's so
because
weird.
you set the standard super high, and your standard is very high. So
even though it goes on in my mind, honestly,
because to us we're just like, oh my gosh, Bianca, this is amazing. Like, oh, I have no comments. This is just fantastic. There's no feedback, nothing to change. But
even when you're asking like, oh, what do you think? I'm like,
perfect.
But I genuinely appreciate that. Honestly, I really, really do. So let's talk about the pros and cons of being a creative, because I feel like there's quite a lot. I feel like we can't go into everything because time will not allow us to talk into everything. But like, we're gonna have to stop. I've got a knock on my door. Yeah, but like, let's first talk about monetizing. We just touched on this, but we can quickly touch on it again, like the monetizing versus hobby. Like, what if let's be honest, if you guys had an opportunity, if someone like if you knew that you could make a lot of money from your creative side, but you had to drop your corporate or 9-to-5 side, would you? Because obviously what the jobs that you guys are in, you're passionate about, those are things that you actually love as well. So if you had to choose making money off of one of those things, would it be the corporate or the 9-to-5, or would it be the creative side? Which one? Sade?
That's so hard, because I feel like, can we even compare the two? You know, I'll say both. Do you know why? I like the security of the 9-to-5. I just like the security of knowing how much you're going to get at the end of the month, how much you have a pension plan
you can plan,
paid into. You just have a bit more. You can plan as well. So I just like that security. So I think I would choose both, but I'm leaning more towards the corporate side. Creative side, in times like a pandemic, a lot of creative jobs they're suffering. Let's be real.
Yeah, that's the reality.
For example, wedding vendors. Can we even do weddings?
Even just like a musician.
Yeah.
An artist.
Yeah.
The artists, they can't tour. Like, artists actually make most of their money from touring. That's where they make their money, is touring. They can't tour.
And when I heard that, I started to think, wow, like, how are they actually going to make their money now? Especially ones that can't necessarily release albums as quickly as all these other bigger artists that can make money off streams and stuff. The ones that are smaller, that are still trying to get that exposure, they're purely relying on tours and all of that, and they can't do that now. So I think in fact, you know what, I would choose my corporate.
What about you, Jen? Corporate.
I would choose the creative. I think because like I said, I feel like I can incorporate my love for healthcare into the creative side now that I've seen. So I'm kind of in a privileged position, shall I say. So if it's a fact that my creative side is making more money, then I will definitely go for that. I think I'm definitely someone that likes security. So it has to be at a certain level, at a certain point where it's like, okay, me doing a 9-to-5 doesn't make sense anymore. And also, I like routine and I don't like change that much. So if I was going to go fully into creative, it has to be a gradual change where it's like, okay, let's take baby steps, not just diving straight into it. I'm not that sort of person. I know other people have done it. God bless you, not me. But yeah, I definitely would go for it, but I would have to weigh out all my options.
Yeah. And Bianca, for you, because you're creative at the moment. It's a pandemic. There's coronavirus. How has it affected you, if it has?
Well, I think that, this year has just started, but last year, I think went pretty well for me.
I feel like this is December 38th. I don't feel like this is a new year, but anyway, let me stop being pessimistic.
It's been a long few days of January, but I think this year, obviously, we don't know what's ahead of us, but I think last year went pretty well, and the reason why it's very different to times. And you have to, as a creative, I think what the most important thing is that you have to keep up with the times and be relevant. So what I know worked at the beginning of this pandemic is not going to work now throughout, like whether we're halfway through or towards the end. So for example, you guys know that last year I was doing the courses and I was doing the lives and etc. because people were almost excited to be at home. They had all these projects and things they wanted to work on that now it was like,
silence.
Can you hear that?
What?
Can you hear that?
No.
I thought that was a joke.
Oh my God,
it's same. I thought it was a joke as well. Carry on, Bianca.
I was going along with
you
that
can't
joke.
hear it.
Yeah, that's sorry, guys. The aeroplane went past. Yeah, I was like,
hear it at all. Girl,
you could
carry
probably hear it
on.
like it was like and the airplanes are so low here. But anyway, that's what I was saying. Last year I did the courses and stuff like that, and people were like, they were excited at the thought of spending time at home, and all these people that had businesses that they wanted to like start, and it was a good time to do what I did. If I did that now, the same way I did it, people are not going to pay as much attention because people are tired. They're tired. So you have to kind of like constantly reinvent yourself as a creative. Make sure that you're not compromising what is pure and what is a part of you, but at the same time, you're just changing. You're not changing the content, but you're changing the packaging. The packaging is different. So I think this year I'm trying to work on making sure that the packaging is different and staying relevant to the time so that it can relate to people. But in this pandemic, I felt like last year it went really well for me. So I don't know what's ahead, but we'll see. Because a lot of people now they have to. Go on.
Sorry, go on.
I was just saying, people, because they're at home now, they have more time to think about other things they wanted to pursue, and that's where I come in. I'm like, hey, I'm here, and so that's the pros. There are cons, but those are the pros of actually be doing this in a pandemic.
Yeah. Would you ever consider doing a 9 to 5? I feel like you've said something around that, but no. Ever.
Do you know what? Okay, cool. That's a lie.
Insert me here.
I would do a 9 to 5, if I wanted to make more money, but I wouldn't give up what I'm doing now. Does that make sense? So, like, if I wanted to balance 2 or 3 jobs, fair enough. I can see myself doing that, but I wouldn't leave what I'm doing to go work in a 9 to 5. No way, no ways, as my niece would say. No ways. It's not happening. Like that. It's just because I know myself. I know I'll be so unhappy. And my mum always used to say to me, Bianca, you are not supposed to work for anybody else. Like, she knew me and my brother, because we're just so creative. We just know what we want. And in a way, I know, I'm very confident. It's not a boastful thing. I know that I am a leader. And so there's certain things that I don't feel comfortable doing and being under other people. I'll do it for a meantime, like if I need to do it, but it's not my end goal. I wouldn't give up that. I would only do that if I want to make a bit of extra cash, and that's it.
Yeah. That's a word, because I'm sure there are loads of ladies listening that want to maybe venture into the creative side, but they don't have the confidence to. They know that they have it deep down inside, but they don't have the confidence to actually go out and do it. And it's difficult, let's be real. That's why I chose 9 to 5, because I like my security. But actually, is that me just sticking within my comfort zone and not wanting to come out of that? It possibly is. So Bianca.
No, it's always a risk with it, and I think it's difficult. Like, I saw this
this visual one time, and it was basically like, it was almost like a graph, and it was like started up, then it was going down and up and then down and then up, and it was literally basically saying like what it's like to be an entrepreneur or like a creative. It's just saying like you don't get through the journey and then you're constantly experiencing highs. Even when you're at the top, you're experiencing highs and lows and highs and lows. So there's always a risk factor that, again, that lack of security also brings a bit of mental and emotional turmoil at times, because like you're thinking about money and all these other things and security. And then especially when you think about later down the line, if you want to have family and you have other responsibilities, is it easier to just go for a 9 to 5, because now you have other people, other things depending on you? So even for those who are creators who have families, that must be another level of anxiety and another level of stress to figure out what you want to do, and do you want to go with your heart or do you need to go with what's right? Because that's another conversation about when pursuing that when you have responsibilities.
Mums and maybe even dads have suppressed their dreams because they're just like, do you know what, I've got to do what I've got to do to provide for this family.
Exactly. And it's difficult.
It's a
difficult decision to make. So with you guys, because obviously we've had very different upbringings, so like what has been...
Have you ever had conversations with your parents about that creative side of you, or ever wanted, like, was that even an option? Did you feel like that was ever presented to you to ever explore that side, or was it just you're only allowed to explore that side in church? Like, oh my God.
She went there.
Like, if you want to sing, go and sing in the choir. Just what I'm saying, like that's it. Go and sing and praise and worship. That's it.
It's Bianca, you hit the nail on the head.
Really?
To be honest, because I am not previously I wouldn't have described myself as a creative. It wasn't something that I ever really explored anyway, so it wasn't a conversation I ever needed to have. However, if if I was to say, I want to get into, I don't know, photography or something, I would need to have a concrete plan and present that with confidence and know exactly what I'm doing when I'm doing it and have really calculated it. If not, I don't think it would go down well. My parents, though, they are very supportive. I won't lie. They are very, they push us to kind of do the best that we can in whatever space we kind of choose to pursue. But, none of us have expressed that we want to go down the creative route. But in regards to the church thing, anything church, you better go get involved with. If it's not choir, it's media. If it's not media, it's dance. It's something. But yeah, that's even a conversation for another day. Hi, Jen, over to you.
What about you, Jen? What about you?
Do you know what? For me, I would say it's a bit similar. I've never been forced to follow a particular path. Growing up, my parents as well, like it was a thing where I had to present to them, literally, like a presentation. This is what I want to know. This is what I want to do. Even with occupational therapy, they had no clue what that was, and I had to present it to them. But I will say that my mum especially, she's definitely encouraged my creative side because she's more creative, and she's always like, Jennifer, you should do this, you should do that. Like, she's always encouraged me to do something outside of my 9 to 5.
That's
so again,
amazing.
I never felt that pressure. And one thing that she always says to me is all 5 fingers are not the same. I think I mentioned it before.
You said
and basically it's like saying that we all have our strengths and we all have our weaknesses. Go towards your strengths. If you're not good at maths, don't go for an account. Like, play according to your strengths. So she knew that I had an interest in health, so she pushed for that. But she also knew that I was a bit creative, so I did a bit of acting when I was younger. She was like pushing me into doing different types of things. But yeah, I think I've definitely had the privilege. I've heard other horror stories from my friends who are creatives and their mums are now forcing them to do nursing. And I'm like, well, first of all, you don't like the sight of blood.
I remember you saying this actually.
So it's definitely been a privilege for myself.
That's crazy. That's good though, because I haven't really heard that. Like, growing up in a Nigerian home, you don't hear that often. That they encourage that side of you. So I think. But
do you know what? Do you know what it is as well? I feel like, especially for a lot of African parents who have come over to this country and they're now seeing that it's not all roses, and just because you have a degree doesn't mean that you're just going to become a millionaire.
You will still listen. Like, I'm currently mentoring. I'm currently mentoring a girl who has just completed a law degree. She got a first. And she is struggling to find a job. Yes, it's a pandemic and that makes it a bit harder, but it doesn't matter these days. It really doesn't matter. It's about experience. Because companies, especially now where everything is so fast paced, companies are just like, please, we want someone that we need to train minimally. We could just kind of get the ball rolling on. So it's not as pretty as it seems.
So because a lot of parents see that struggle, I feel like it's a very different mentality to those who are back home, who are thinking, over there, you've got all the opportunities. Why are you not rich? Like, you have no excuse.
It's not that easy. You guys already know, like, just the house I grew up in, it was
all creativity.
So, it was encouraged. Like, I don't really know anything I wanted to do. My mum was like, cool, let's do it. There's so many projects that like I would start, and mom would like pay for this studio time or this, that.
That's amazing.
And she always encouraged it, like always. And that was in a lot of the groundwork for my creativity I learned in church. So when it came to church, they encouraged me to do things in church, but they encouraged me to, now that I've like, when I started to kind of develop my skills and etc., when it came to whether it was creating, leadership, whatever, I was like, now that you've learned this, let's take it outside of church and actually use it in the real world, if that makes sense.
That's really good.
And so they definitely really, really encouraged that. So I have to say that from when I was a young age, I'd be like trying to edit videos for school, and like my brother was quite creative as well, so it always helped me with little things. So it's just my family. I'm definitely grateful for that. Even my grandma is 76, yeah, and she's an author. She likes to write books. I've been telling her to stop because I'm just like, why are you writing books?
Telling her to stop, please let her. That's her hobby. You were just talking about hobbies. That's her hobby, Bianca.
Let her do her thing.
I don't know, but it's not a hobby because she wants to do a whole book launch and everything. I'm like, Grandma, please, it's too much. Like, it's too much. But
that could be her legacy. So like, that's amazing.
No, I know. But my grandma, she just makes me laugh. But she will be like, yes, Bianca. Because she's definitely into education. She's like, yes, Bianca, I want to see you in your briefcase and your white suit. And she'll just tell me, and then she definitely encourages the creative side as well. So I think as a family, both my mum's side and my dad's side, that has been the case. So and then just even who I surround myself with in regards to my friends. Like, I don't know anyone that, probably all my friends could sing, all my friends can do something, whether it's video editing, videography, they can do something. So I feel like
creatives do naturally draw other creatives. They like naturally just kind of
that's true. That's very true.
You know, they're magnet. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, should we do what she's all that, ladies?
Yes,
she's all that. Who is doing it this week? And while you're getting it, okay.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know what She's All That is just a segment in our episodes where we highlight a woman who is doing something amazing, has done something amazing. She could be here, she could be passed on, whatever the case is, but she's made an impact, whether just a seed or she's built a whole forest, whatever the case is, like in her community, in the world, whatever, we just give her a shout out. And we think it's important just because of who we say we are and who we are as a brand and as a online women's community. It's important that we give other women a platform. So my She's All That is a young lady called Amanda Gorman, and she was the young lady who did. She read a poem at the inauguration on the 20th of January at Joe Biden's inauguration.
Oh my god!
And the reason why I'm highlighting her is because she was actually the youngest person to actually read a poem at the inauguration. And I thought that was really, really inspiring. I read some facts about her. She became obviously the youngest inaugural poet in US history. Her performance earned praise from millions of people, blah, blah, blah. Said that she revealed that she and Oprah have struck, so she's really good friends with Oprah, a really good friendship. There was something, so this is what I really loved, because obviously she read out the poem. This is what I really loved. Amanda struggled with speech impediment for much of her life. So she actually struggled with her speech. She really couldn't speak properly. She was unable to say certain letters, like including R, up until the age of 20. Like, she couldn't speak properly. And I thought that was so inspiring that, like, and it's just, I don't know, not trying to get deep or stuff, all that, but it reminded me of the story in the Bible of Moses, because Moses had a speech impediment. And there was a moment where when God came to him, God was saying, listen, I need you to go to Pharaoh and I need you to say, this is what it is. And he was like, but God, I can't even talk. Like, how are you going to use me? I'm the last person you should use. I can't talk. And God was like, don't worry, I'm going to give you the words. When you get there, just get there and I'll sort it out. And so it kind of reminded me of that, like how she had this fault, would you say, this like impediment. And she literally got up in front of millions of people, the whole world. And she was able to showcase the talent that God had given her. So I just thought that was so inspiring. So she could have been like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to speak properly or pronounce properly, but she got up there and she did it. And I thought that was very inspiring. So shout out to Amanda Gorman.
That's lovely.
I love that. And this is why this is my favourite part of the episodes.
I read somewhere today that her book became the #1 selling. Because of all of this. So yeah, she's doing amazing.
If you see the way her followers went up.
Amanda Gorman, yes. I just reposted something on our story. She went from, let me even go to it. I literally just reposted something. Yes, she went from 93.1k followers to 547k followers, guys, in less than an hour.
within hours of the ceremony, Amanda's books had flown to the top of the Amazon charts, landing in the #1 and #2 spot.
Guys,
so
she's on
literally
2.7 million followers.
Wow,
That is crazy.
2.7 million.
Amazing.
Wow. Live.
And now she's 22, and imagine her speech impediment only got better at the age of 20. So it's only been 2 years that she's been able to speak with that confidence. I just think it's amazing. So shout out to Amanda Gorman for that, because that's she had to be.
We'll add the link to
if
you guys didn't catch the poem, we'll add a link to our show notes to where you can watch it.
Definitely.
Because admittedly,
so as we round up. Yeah, no, it's fine. We'll do that. But as we round up, guys, I know there were so many things that we didn't get time to. So many things that we'll start that again. So as we round up, guys, there are so many things that we didn't get to touch on, but I definitely want to kind of ask you guys what your advice would be to I guess creatives or people who want to like start, tapping into the creative side of themselves that they know has always been there, but they're just afraid. One thing I will say as well, and I wanted to dive into this a bit more, but I don't think we had the time, is if you are a creative, I think it's important for us to know where we're getting our inspiration from, and the inspiration versus imitation, because we see that a lot on social media, we see it online. Let's be honest, we've seen it on She's the Pod.
We have.
We've seen it. Okay. We've seen it. We've seen imitation. Let's be very real. And I think there's a difference between inspiration and imitation. And I think if you are a creative, you don't actually need to imitate anyone, because I can see something that inspires me and say, do you know what? Cool. I'm going to use that as inspiration, as a seed, but I'm going to build on that with my own creativity. And so I think it's important that, when we see things online, I get inspiration so many times a day when I'm just scrolling through the timeline and whatever, whether I'm on Medium or I'm on Twitter or Instagram. And it's like, okay, I'm going to use that in a certain way. I'm going to flip it a little bit and take a little bit of that and see what I can build upon. But I think it's really important to stay in your lane as a creative. If you are a creative, everything has to come from here. Yes, you can get inspiration, but I think everything that you're building with and you're molding with, it has to come from here. If it's not from here, most likely it's not going to be able to. It's not going to be. If you're putting out into the world, it's not going to be received.
We can tell. You can smell inauthenticity from a mile away.
I would just say stay authentic, and don't be afraid to tap into those sides of you. Again, I've spoken about the whole, if you have other responsibilities, that the fight within yourself about whether you should pursue things because you have responsibilities, you're looking after people or things you don't know if you have the time to pursue or even have the finances to pursue. But I think that just listen, sometimes, again, not everything has to be monetized. So if creating makes you happy, don't even block out social media. Don't think about making money or how much likes. Just do it because it makes you happy. And there's so many layers to being a creative, but I think the foundational layer to it is doing it authentically, doing what is a part of you, and doing it not focused on making money, but just because it makes you happy, and it's an outlet. It's a way for you to express yourself. That's really the basis of creativity, is a way for you to express yourself. So that's my advice. What would you say, Jennifer? What would you say?
I would say two things. The first thing is make a plan, especially if you've got a 9 to 5. I, like I said, I'm not the sort of person to just jump into things, but I feel like if you have an interest in being a creative, and perhaps stepping out of your 9 to 5 job, just make a plan and try and test the waters at least, and try. The second thing I would say is don't limit yourself to just, the creative sort of jobs that you see in social media. People who are creatives also work for the Ministry of Justice, by the way. They also work for the NHS, by the way. There's so many jobs that you can do as a creative that a lot of people don't know about. So do your research, be open-minded, and just go for it. You never know unless you try.
Love that. Oh, what would I say to aspiring creatives or current creatives? I can't stress enough about not forcing it. And that doesn't mean don't go for it and don't be brave and step out of your comfort zone, but at the same time, let it be authentic. And I know that's reiterating what you said, Bianca, but that would literally be what I would say. Let it come from the heart. Let it be what you want to do and not because of what you can get from it. And then also have fun with it.
Yeah.
Have fun, because a lot of the time when we are creating, we're thinking so much of the consumer that we forget to just have fun with it. Like, this is your life,
I was
so
gonna
just
say
have
that.
fun and enjoy, you know. And then the third thing I would say is learn. Keep learning. Look at people that are doing well in what you're doing, in what you want to do, whether it's photography, graphic design, etc. Look at people that are currently there. Ask for mentorship if you want to. Don't be proud. Like, a lot of the time people are actually willing to mentor people that are up and coming, because it's a reflection on them as well. It's like, oh, okay, someone sees me good enough to ask for advice, let me help them. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help. I always ask for help. I don't care. I'll ask 1,000,001 questions. As long as I'm going to get what I need, I will. And I was in a Clubhouse room listening to a millionaire called Grant Cardone. He's like, I think he's an author, and then he does some other stuff. But yeah, really successful man. And he was saying that every single day he speaks to people and interacts with people that can help him to get further in life. So he always connects with people, whether that's calling to ask for help, calling to ask for whatever. But of course, it's not always take. Sometimes you give too.
You give
but
as
the
well,
fact that he's conscious of, you know, always surrounding himself with winners, always surrounding himself with people that can propel his life forwards, that's really, really inspiring. So yeah, I'll leave that with you guys too.
And just quickly, I think that one really important thing is that what you were saying about not caring too much about the consumer, because you create in here, like I said, in here it's purest form. Once you put it out into the world, you are going to have opinions. Not everyone's going to like what you do, and with that, you have to be focused on what your aim is, what you want the result to be. If there's one person that is changed or affected from, you know, through your creation, that's it. So I think a lot of people we get too distracted by opinions in the outside world because it gets contaminated. But keep creating. Don't let the outside world stop you from creating, because trust me, whether you do it good or bad, everyone is going to have something to say, whether good or bad. So you have to don't let the outside world put you off from creating. That's one thing I would say as well.
And just to piggyback that, just something really transparent. So I was just asking people, can you know, it's good to increase our, you know, me and our reviews on Apple Podcasts. I was just like, guys, review our podcast, send it to my cousin. He was just like, I don't think I should. I said, why? He goes, I don't think you will like what I've got to say.
Okay.
But it's true enough though.
It's not actually, for him. It's not for him. And I've realized that sometimes it's just not for the people you think it's for. But anyways, so stay encouraged, guys.
That's it. But ladies and gents, because I know gents listen to, so gents,
they do.
Thank you so much. I mean, this is a really good topic. I like. There's so much more we could talk about.
Really
I think we should maybe like do a live or a Clubhouse on this topic at some point. Maybe eventually.
For sure.
I think it's really good. There's so many subtopics that can come from underneath it, but
for sure.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of She's in a Pod.
Make sure you follow us, stay connected, leave us an Apple Podcast review, follow all of that.
Yes,
Thank you so much, guys.
Yes, love you, and see you next week. Bye, guys.